Hey everyone, and welcome to the week outlook for December 29th, 2024 through January 4th of 2025. So always with these, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm using my Crystal Visions Tarot deck today. And my link will be in the description below if you'd like a personalized read. So we have the Ace of Wands. So there's a lot of new creative visions, new adventures, new power levels coming up, new authority figures coming in, ascension thrones, draconic beings, flora is going to be very important, both the divine by that name and any nature signs and animals and physical creatures and physical stones that you come across. Ruby energy sticks out. The name Ruby sticks out. Whether it be red, orange, purple, green, whatever. There's a lot of power being asserted. There's a lot of divine authority being grasped, taking your power back from the draconic powers, or from your inner animal, making peace with your inner animalistic beings and inner sense of self, because there's a delay in reaping the rewards of victory. There's a snag in the road that will be revealed to you and fixed or entangled or detangled by no later than the end of the week, like 6 a.m. on the 1st. And for some others, it would be no later than the end of the day on the last day of the month, or the last day of the week. So that would be the 4th at like 6 p.m. And there's a lot of resisting authority and resisting arrest kind of a deal, or resisting intervention. Refusing to rise above things due to pride and arrogance and strong opinions, due to cynicism and pessimism and like darker energies, like darker aggressions, like rage and wrath and like treason, like Satanistic beings and Luciferianistic. Not necessarily a bad being, but someone that exerts a lot of narcissistic traits, a lot of like draconic orders, like red hair, red eyes, red flowers. The name red sticks out. Orange, Lionistic energy, Lyrans. And then these three came together: 10 of Swords, 9 of Swords, and 8 of Swords. And yes, they are shuffled. So there's a lot of going through piece by piece and sword by sword healing, and you're unleashing the anguish, the regret, the anger, the resentment, and you're piecing together which parts are yours or which parts are not. You've taken on way too many battles and more than you can chew, and spent more energy than you've needed to feel like you're like a spiritual death, or like a spiritual comatose, or like catatonic state. Like spiritual rebirth is needed, like a breath of fresh air. Holy Spirit and like mantras help, like words of affirmation, like a trigger phrase to wake them up, or like a sudden jolt of energy, like a sudden big bang, to startle you awake, pretty much. That's due to like red string theory, chasing the red ribbon when you already have your focus somewhere else. being led on a wild goose chase has led you worn out and weary. And playing like games of what if and being told no and working on your resistance to change, especially the ones that are causing you a lot of anguish and resentment, and helping you look upon yourself with a higher outlook, like ascended masters, Anunnaki, beings of light, those that have wings, avian creatures like Thoth and Horus and Ra and Anubis and Odin. There's a lot of Lady in Red references, so like Toto from Kansas. And there's a lot of like completion of contracts that are nearly done because of how much you've realized throughout the spiritual universe and how much you've grown through the spiritual path and your soul journey. But there are still things that you hold yourself to and you hold yourself accountable for, and self-imposed beliefs and self-imposed bindings and restrictions that you put on yourself. No one else is telling you this is what you're thinking or doing and assuming from yourself. This is where law of thought comes in. This is where law of choice comes in. This is where law of consequence comes in. This is also where space and time are needed. You've been told the answer, but it doesn't matter how many times they tell you an answer. If it differs even in the slightest, you'd seem to close your eyes. Learning where you're willfully ignorant and willfully disobedient. And it looks like you've been overanalyzing and working too hard on things. It looks like there's a lot of like needing to rest your wings and a lot of storms that have been coming on, and it's just time to just rest and relax and allow the creative flow to go. Be yourself at all times and be your authentic self, even if that means being someone differently every day, even if that means identifying against the norm or against authority or challenging groupthink, and being able to bring more awareness to the table. Because it looks like you have a lot of wants and needs and creative visions, but it feels like there's a delay in action, which is causing a lot of like low self-esteem and depression. But that's also because you're overworking yourself and overstimulating yourself and overexerting yourself spiritually and mental capacity, and due to the anguish and the regret from the Twilight era and the Darkest Dawn and the Dark Night of the Soul that a few of us have come across or are currently in. A lot of de-escalation, a lot of spiritual conflict and inner turmoil has come to a crossroads. And this is like a test of will, a test of character, and a test of spirit. This is to see if you can gather your own opinion from a well-rounded source, or if you're still seeking external validation and wanting others to pretty much hand you your information on a platter. You're basically, you don't have to move anywhere, you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. No one's really left your side in spirit, no one's really physically gone. Well, even if they are physically gone, it doesn't mean that they're not spiritually there. It looks like there's a lot of inner turmoil because of actions and words not matching. Like you become impulsive. Like you'll say one thing and then later on you'll think about it, say something completely different, which hinders progress. It could also mean that you're hounding a subject and beating a dead horse until it stops spitting out money. So it's constantly overanalyzing the same situation that you put yourself in, because you pretty much did this to yourself, and this is a bracing reality check for you. There's going to be an unexpected message either in a dream or from a draconic guide or from someone about your connections to divine feminine, or it will uncover why you're blowing up at divine feminine energy, such as Artemis and Athena and Diana, and why you are called to look within, and why you turn away from female authority, and why you turn away from draconic natures of oppression and restriction and heavy laws and regulations, even if it's for safety and protection. It looks like there's a lot of bracing reality checks that are needed. There's a lot of broken promises. And forgiveness doesn't mean that they have to come back into your life physically, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. It also looks like you may not see it eye to eye. You may be seeing it as if your world is turned upside down. And being able to find your inner peace and look within yourself and your heart space will help. Paying attention to your chakras and your aura colors as well, your color symbolism, your color schemes, rainbow children, learning what it means to not be all love and light, or not be all dark and angsty as well. So finding a divine balance with things will help. And lastly, we have the Two of Wands. So focus, and things should be clearing up by the second. Or within 2 weeks, you should have your answer. Remember to practice self-love, because you can't find love if you don't have love for yourself, in a sense. Or you at least have to have an idea of what love is before you go looking for it, or you're just going to end up in toxic situations again. So being aware of the choices that you make. And trust yourself more. Work on those trust wounds and work on your self-love. Emotionally unavailable people create distrust and erosion of trust as well. And there might be like a ghost or a ghosting that is going to happen within the next 2 months, or someone is going to come back from ghosting you within the next 2 months or 2 weeks. By the end of the week, for most of us, though. They may not come back in spirit. They might, or physical. They might come back in spirit or in dream, or they might find you in a spot that is realistic and practical. But that's what I'm getting for a reasonable outlook for the 29th of December through the 4th of January 2025. As always with these, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Thanks for joining.